Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa, and today is all about Friday feels and loving what you do in life. Today we have Matthew Solomon. He is an award-winning filmmaker, coach, father of three, and he is the author of the new book, Man School, Relating to Women in the Me Too Era. Woo!
Wow.
Good luck
Wow.
with that.
Yes.
I feel like this needs to be added to every curriculum across America. This is such an important conversation. It's an incredible honor to have that with you. Let's talk about what created this idea for you. When did you know you were going to write this book?
About a month and a half ago. I was going to write the book.
World's fastest publication.
Yeah, it's it's really a culmination of everything that I'm passionate about. You're talking about like do what you love. This like just came to me. So I grew up in LA here. It's the real melting pot with races and religions and sexual orientations. And so I've always been very passionate and sensitive to equality. And I've studied communication and relationships for 20 years. I was married, I've been divorced, I've been in other relationships. And I decided to date for a while after the last relationship ended 2 years ago. And so I went out on dates with over 60 women. And I listened to the frustrations and the complaints and the stuff that wasn't working and the stuff that was working. And then as the Me Too era online erupted, now Me Too's been around since 2006, but as it erupted post-Weinstein online, I wasn't surprised. I mean, it was horrible seeing all these stories, but I wasn't surprised that women had these experiences, and most men were. Most men that I knew were shocked, didn't know what to do, how to relate, how to respond, and so.
So how did that affect you when you're in the dating scene?
Yeah.
The Me Too thing blows up these conversations. How did it affect the single men, especially here in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, for me, I was already sensitive to those things, and I've taught women self-defense. I trained in martial arts. So I've been very sensitive to having a woman feel comfortable and safe in my space, which actually as a relationship coach, that's one of the things that I get feedback on the most. And so with other men, it's getting that there's not something to be after. Like you're not trying to get her or get laid or whatever. It's really like what do you want? You want that connection, you want that understanding, you want that relation, whether it's just for that hour that you're having coffee or whether it goes on longer than that.
So then what is it? If someone says, okay, I want to read that book, what is kind of like, what's the hook of it? How are they going to relate to women? What are they going to learn out of that?
Well, there's actually, the men that have responded, there's a chapter on listening, on how to effectively listen. And they're like, oh my God, I did that the other night and it totally worked. I'm going to do that from now on. And it's really, it's really like,
what works.
Oh my God, I'm going to do that one chapter. And it really is being curious about women, and it's not just women, it's people, being curious, asking questions, so if you had an issue, it's like, what was your experience of that? How did you feel? And really getting like why you were upset. And for, in my experience for a woman, that's like, oh my God, you're actually listening to me and getting me. And
so acknowledgement.
Acknowledging
through listening.
Without judgment,
Totally.
without trying to fix it, just holding that space.
And without bringing your point of view to it, because I, as a man, have not had the same experiences that you as a woman have had.
Yeah, very true.
Right. But I think this is, whether it's the Me Too era or not, I think that we know that from men are from Mars, women are from Venus, this is the whole thing. Again, can the man listen without trying to fix?
Yeah.
And can a woman just accept the man as he is? That's pretty much the takeaway from both of those, right? So what's different about this versus that, just relating to Hollywood in these terms?
Yeah, well, my take on that is, because I read the Mars and Venus books, when they came out. I read the David Data books when they came out.
I love Data.
And my experience is that we're in a different place now. We've kind of evolved, and our relationships and our gender roles are more fluid, and there's different things that are needed from us. And so I remember in the Mars and Venus books, John Gray talks a lot about if a woman's talking, just go, yep, like the grunting so that she knows you're listening, and that just doesn't cut it anymore. And I know that I know that he's evolved from that point, and this is this is where we're at now.
And I love that he's been divorced since
Yeah.
then. Like, we're human beings, and sometimes relationships are meant to be forever. Sometimes they're a chapter of our life. Sometimes they're for blessings, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's a really important conversation, and it's so cool to meet a conscious man doing
Thank
the
you.
work.
Oh, thank you very much.
So what's that like being single with 3 children?
She gets right to the heart of it.
It's great. I mean, there's challenges. Their mom and I have a really good co-parenting working relationship, and so, you were talking about the stigma around being single. I mean, it's actually, it's really hard to have kids, and there's no way around that. And so they get to go to their mom for a week, and I get to, stay up late and go on dates and work on stuff.
But how lucky are they to have a father like you who has an understanding of what men can do to hold space for women and what women really, really need?
Yeah.
And to have a conversation with both is really
so blessed.
incredible.
Well, I'd had the beginning of the sex talk with my 10-year-old twins.
How did that go?
It was really great because one of my boys, he was like, okay, so the man is like the charger and the woman is like the outlet, and he puts the charger in the outlet and the computer powers up and they order a baby. And I'm like, and if you have Prime, the baby comes in 2 days, and there's no shipping on.
Right.
So it's like perfect.
Shipping. Most of us will be back ordered for about 9 months.
Yeah.
But
Out of stock for now.
until then, it's incredible work what you've done with this book. What do you, in your opinion, can women do to help create a culture that is safe for men too? Because it has been a trying conversation for men trying to navigate this.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the women that I know who really appreciate what men offer and how we can show up, getting that what we really want at the end of the day is for our partners to be happy and feel fulfilled. And so we haven't had an education in this really, and women haven't either. So just knowing that there are men out there who really want you to be happy, who are really wanting to know, like, what do we do? What do you need? And being willing to answer that.
Love that.
Such a good point.
Thank you so much for all your divine work. Thank you for being my friend and just shining your light and not being afraid to just have that voice. Because I think I would, as a man, I would be afraid to write that book with the Me Too movement. I think it was courageous, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So congratulations on that. Where can they find your book, and where can they find working with you?
The book's on Amazon. Coachwithmatthewsolomon.com is my website. I coach couples and singles and everything in between. Facebook, coachwithmatthewsolomon.com,
Nice.
Amazon.
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Good Morning La La Land.